your deep abdominal muscles, the muscles in your core, really do act like a natural corset. And we, in postpartum, the goal is to get all of those muscles working in coordination again, because sometimes they forget during pregnancy. And this is something that you can practice during pregnancy too. I'm a big proponent of making sure that you can stay connected to your core during pregnancy so that in postpartum you have a better chance of staying connected and a better recovery. So just a little bit about the anatomy of the core. Your core is made up of 4 sets of muscles, and the lower set of muscles, the most internal set, is the transverse abdominals, and those act like the corset. And those muscles go from the bottom of your rib cage all the way around to your back to the bottom of your ribs, and then from your pubic bone all the way over the crest of your pelvis and all the way around to the back. And it's like a big sheath that runs all the way around your entire torso. There's some connective tissue here in the middle and connective tissue here in the back also, but those muscles are what are responsible for pulling the entire core back. So when you take a breath, a big exhale, when you're sneezing, when you're coughing, when you're laughing, those are the muscles that we need. And those are the ones that we're going to train today. The other muscles that we need are your internal and external obliques on top of that, which are responsible for twisting your core. And then you have your rectus abdominis, which is the 6-pack muscle, which everybody likes to work, but it's just an accessory. You know, it's kind of like, it's just the one that you can see the most of, right? And that is responsible for flexion. So what we're going to work on today is that deep core muscle, that corset muscle inside of your core. And what's really awesome is that when you use your pelvic floor, when you're doing Kegel type lift or pelvic floor lifts, you're actually using your deep core muscles at the same time because they're connected. So I'm going to show you a little bit about that, give you some exercises to do. Let's jump right in. Find a comfortable seat. You can do these exercises seated, you can do them laying down, you can do them on all fours, you can do them standing. You can try different positions and find one that works for you and where you can activate the most, and where you get the least amount of compensation in other places like your neck, your back, your hips, all that. Okay, I'm going to show it on my back. So if you want to join me on your back, if you have diastasis or if you're pregnant, make sure you roll down to your side and come all the way down. And if you're pregnant and you don't feel comfortable being on your back, you can do this on an incline, right, with a bolster. So we're going to find neutral in our spine. So rock forward and back on your pelvis, bring your tailbone towards the floor, and then the low back towards the floor, rocking gently forward and back, just exploring the landscape of your hips. And then come to neutral, so right in the middle, so that triangle at the base of your spine is on the floor. You will have a little bit of space underneath your low back. That is a good thing. Right? I know a lot of ab classes, they tell you to press your low back into the floor. For some purposes, that could be great. For our purposes, we're going to keep that low back a little bit off the floor. Right? So find neutral. All right, now from here, take your hands on your belly. We're going to work on the pelvic floor lift. So as you inhale, let your pelvic floor fully release out. Notice what happens in your belly. The rib cage expands too. And then as you exhale, squeeze and lift the pelvic floor in and up. Lightly draw the belly back and see if you feel some engagement in that deep core. You can use your fingers, you can touch your stomach, it's okay. Good, and then go with your breath. Inhale, release the pelvic floor out, breathe into your belly, and then exhale, squeeze and lift the pelvic floor in and up. See if as you lift that pelvic floor, if you feel more tension between your hip bones and your deep core muscles. Good, let's do that again. Inhale, release the pelvic floor out, releasing out. And then exhale, squeeze and lift the pelvic floor. So you feel a little tension growing in your lower belly. Good. Now take your hands on your glutes. Take another inhale, release the pelvic floor out. And as you exhale, squeeze and lift the pelvic floor, but try to keep your glutes soft. This is the key, right? Because our glutes love to come and work. See if you can just isolate the pelvic floor. Take 2 more breaths here. Inhale, release the pelvic floor out. Squeeze and lift the pelvic floor. Feel that deep core start to turn on without using your glutes. Good. It's super subtle, it's super deep. And just notice if you start to feel more engagement, a little more information in that lower core area. Now release that, rock your hips forward and back. Take your hands around your ribs with your thumbs behind you on your back. So the thumbs are on your back, the fingers are on the front of your ribs. And we're going to take an inhale, and I want you to inhale into the full capacity of your lungs, into your back. Inhale, full breath in. Really fill up your lungs, press into your back, into your thumbs, and then exhale, release it out. Let your ribs come gently closer together. Good, one more. Inhale, breathe into your back. Try to get 360 degrees of expansion in your ribs. And then exhale, let your ribs soften as you exhale. And then take your fingers on your upper abs. See if you feel a little more engagement in your upper abs as you draw your ribs together and down. Okay, one more breath here. Inhale. Breathe into your back. And exhale. Ribs draw down. Feel those upper abs start to work. Good. Now we're going to put it all together. Okay. This is where it can get a little tricky, but don't worry. If you practice, this will come. Okay. So as you inhale, we're going to release the pelvic floor, let the belly expand, let the ribs expand, especially into your back. Inhale, lift the pelvic floor, draw the ribs down, and let your whole belly naturally draw back towards your spine. Right. So we get that corset action. All right. Here we go. Ready? So inhale, fully release the pelvic floor, breathe into your ribs, let your belly expand. Fill everything with air, and then exhale, engage the pelvic floor, draw the ribs down. Start to notice if you feel more engagement in your core. Use your hands, right? You can touch your body, see what you're feeling. If you're not getting that neural connection of like, I can't really feel what's going on, use your fingers. I can give you some really good information. Good. Let's take a few more breaths here. Inhale, release the pelvic floor, full breath in. Breathe into your mid-back. So really try to get that breath into your back, into your bra line. And then as you exhale, squeeze and lift from your pelvic floor. Lightly draw your ribs in. Squeeze and lift, let that belly draw back. Good. Last one here. Inhale and exhale. Good. In and up. Good. Use your fingers. Navigate around the landscape of your core to see what you're feeling. See if you're feeling some tension there. And this is actually a really great place. Keep a little low-level tension here. You're working about 30% here. This is bracing. Right? So you're keeping those low core muscles engaged. See what you feel here in those connective tissue areas. It's a great place to check a little bit for diastasis when your head is on the floor. And then if you wanted to check for diastasis further, you could lift your head off the floor and see what's happening in your connective tissue. Right? That's another post for another day. But the good thing to do while you're doing core work is check and make sure and see what's going on in your diastasis, if you have one. Okay, go ahead and lay your head back on the floor. We're going to take another breath here. Inhale, release the pelvic floor, breathe in, let the belly expand, ribs expand, and then exhale, squeeze and lift your pelvic floor in and up. So your back is staying nice and still. It's actually the core muscles that are doing the connecting. If you press into your low back, it's actually more of your front rectus abdominis muscles doing most of the work, but we want those deep core corset muscles to do the work. Good. All right, one more here. Inhale, release the pelvic floor, release the belly, release the ribs out, breathe into your mid-back. Exhale, squeeze and lift from your pelvic floor, draw the core back, draw the rib lightly down. Right. And then find about 30% of that deep core engagement there. Feel again. Good. Now, keep everything where it is, take your arms towards the ceiling. Now start to lift your arms overhead, but keep your ribs from flaring, right? So use your upper abs to keep your ribs in the exact same position. The tendency is to let those ribs flare and we start opening up and using the range of motion of our back instead of the support of our core. So keep drawing those ribs down, connected to your core, and then maintain that brace of the deep core. So that corset muscle is connecting and contracted about 30%, not a huge amount, but just enough to protect your spine. Good, and then bring those arms back over your shoulders. Stay connected in your core. Okay, then we'll take one arm up, one arm down, alternating the arms, and see if you can stay connected into that deep core. Now, the way to make this harder is to add weights, right? You want to add a 2 or 3 pound weight here. This will up the tension that you need in your core, and you'll feel this in your deep core even more. But for now, we're just getting down the basics of the movement. Later, you can add intensity as you start to gain feeling in your core and control over your low core muscles. If when you're doing this, you feel a lot of like loosey-goosiness and your ribs are lifting, I would stay without the weights for just a little bit, right? Just work on the movement with the weight of your arms. Sometimes that can be enough in these early stages. Good. So by this point, you have a low level tension in your core. You should feel a little bit of awakening. It's not the hardest core workout you've ever done, but after 10 months of carrying a baby, it can be pretty challenging, right? Good. What we're doing is we're training that deep core, those corset muscles to protect your spine as your arms and legs are moving. Keep going with me here, which is so important as our babies get heavier. We really need that deep core support. And as we start picking up things that are heavy, right, we need to be able to support our spine and make sure that our spine stays healthy as we're adding load onto our core work, i.e. babies who get heavier every week. Good. Take your hands down to your belly. Good. Release it out. Let it go. Rock your hips from side to side. What I love about this is that it's not a crunch. You don't have to do crunches to feel your deep core. You can do just breathing and really focused work on your core, and you get some really amazing engagement. And it's the true depth of core work is working on that low transverse ab and the corset muscles. All right, so we're gonna take another breath here. Full breath in. Exhale, squeeze and lift your pelvic floor in and up. Go ahead, engage those corset muscles. Go ahead and give a feel around what you feel in your core. And make sure you have a little space underneath your low back. Right, so just for a moment here, hold this about 30%. You should be able to breathe while you're holding this brace. Right, this is what we use abdominal binding to mimic early in postpartum when everything is kind of loose and is not quite reconnected yet. This is what we're mimicking. This is what we need to train in order to wean ourselves off of that bind. All right, so you're still braced here, right? See if you can talk, see if you can sing. And then we're gonna peel the right toes off the floor. Keep your hands on your belly. Keep about 30% of that connection there. All right, notice I didn't say 100%. 100% is over gripping. We don't wanna do over gripping. Just enough to maintain stability in your spine. All right, right toes left. We're going to inhale here and then exhale, slide that right foot forward. See if you can maintain that tension in your core as you extend that leg. And then inhale, bring it all the way back, slide that foot along the floor. Good, see if you can maintain the exact position of your spine. So your spine is not moving at all. You can go as slow as you need to get those deep muscles to connect. Think of that corset, right? Sometimes I even like to think of it as like when you go to pull on tight pants, right? We've all done that. When you pull on tight pants, the whole corset pulls back to allow you to button it, that last little button. And stay steady in your core. Relax your shoulders, relax your neck. And then experiment with how far you can take that leg, how connected you can stay to your deep core, how much engagement you can feel, and how much sensation you start to feel in your deep core too. Good, and then bring that right foot all the way back and place your right toe on the floor. Good, shake it out, drop your hips from side to side. Let go of any tension in your back and hips. I find sometimes the tension goes up into your neck, so let go of it. We like to grip and hold on for dear life. Try to let go. And then bring your feet back flat to the floor. Take your hands on your belly. Find neutral again. Inhale. Exhale, lift from your pelvic floor. The ribs are gently dropping down. Whole core is engaged. Feel the landscape of your core. And then peel your left toes off the floor. Inhale. Exhale. Press that left foot forward as you slide it forward. Let's see if you can stay deeply connected into the core. See what you're feeling here. Inhale, press it out. And exhale, draw it back. Good. And then just check in. See if the right side is different than the left. And use your fingers. Check in with what's happening in your core muscles. Do you feel some engagement? Do you feel any dips or divots in your core? If you do feel a dip or a divot, see if lifting your pelvic floor changes that at all on your exhale. Good. Keep going on that extension there. Maybe you're starting to feel those lower core muscles starting to work now, right? One more extension out, and then draw it all the way back. Good. Great. Good. Bring your feet as wide as your mat, if you have a mat, or a little wider than your knees, and then drop your knees from side to side. Take your arms out to the side. If you're pregnant, do this very small. You can go side to side this way, right? You go all the way over to the side. If you're not pregnant, you can go all the way over to the amount that feels good. Releasing out the low back. Good. And then bring your knees back to the center. Draw your knees into your chest. Breathe into your back. Breathe into your mid-back. And then drop one foot down to the floor. Drop the other foot down. Take your hands to the floor and lift your hips up towards the ceiling. Press your upper arms into the floor. Use your glutes. And breathe here. So now that you've engaged some of your core muscles, see if anything feels different. It may or may not. And engage your glutes as you press up. And then drop your hips all the way down to the floor. Roll over to your side, come up to a comfortable seat. And then swing your knees over to the right side. So you're sitting kind of in like a star seat. If you're sitting in a chair, you can just take your legs off to the side. And then take your right hand on the outer right shin. Reach that left arm all the way up overhead. Take a nice side bend. Drop your chin towards your chest. Breathe into your mid-back. Good. And we'll take a few moving breaths here. So inhale, close it over. Exhale, open, tap that left fingertip to the floor. Inhale, close it over, breathe into your mid-back. And exhale, open. Good, one more. Inhale, close it over. And exhale, open. Great, and then switch to the other side. So swing your legs around to the other side. Left hand on your left shin. Right arm up overhead, take a side bend. Oh, doesn't that feel so good? And then inhale, bring the fingertips towards the floor. Exhale and close it over. Inhale and open. Exhale and close. And two more. Inhale and exhale, close. Good. One more. Good. Fantastic. Great. Come back to the center. Good. Sit in a crisscross applesauce position and then fold all the way forward over your legs. And breathe into your back. Press your hands into the floor. So you're breathing into your mid-back and send all of your breath behind your bra line. Full breaths here. Breathe into your kidneys. Breathe into your low back. Breathe into your hips. Drop your head. And find spaciousness in your back. Good. And then walk your hands all the way back towards your feet. And this is just the beginning of that postpartum core work. So this is a really great basis to work on what I call the abdominal canister breaths, because your core and pelvic floor and diaphragm make up an entire pressure system or canister. Starting with those canister breaths and then starting to add intensity on top of those canister breaths, knowing how your core is reacting to that intensity. So like I said, it's kind of a discovery. It's kind of a fun exploration of what happens if I lift a 5-pound weight instead of a 3-pound weight? What happens if I hold my baby on this side versus that side? Or what happens when I pick up my baby and I lift my pelvic floor? What happens in my core? Such a cool discovery to have all day. And it's this awareness that can go really, really far in keeping you connected into your deep core. Without doing crunches, no more crunches, and without doing typical core work. So I want you to become really aware of just how you are using your core and different places that you could become aware of that deep core engagement. The natural abdominal binding that we have is integral to our everyday movement. Thank you so much for joining me. Let me know if you have questions. I'm happy to answer questions in the comments afterwards. Have a great day.